Hello, everybody. It's November 2nd, 2013. Here on the Truth Broadcast Network, you're watching Unveiling the Truth. I'm your host, Mark Howitt. Thanks for joining me today. We got a special episode today, something I've been looking forward to for quite some time in covering, and that is the 9/11 conspiracy. Yes, I'm calling it a conspiracy because that's absolutely what it is. This episode is entitled 9/11 Anomalies and Deceptions because I'm going to try to uncover some of the many anomalies and deceptions that exist in regards to 9/11. There is quite a few. Just researching a little bit, just polishing what I knew already up about this 9/11 to do this episode anyways. There's so many outlets and avenues in regards to areas that could be researched to uncover this conspiracy. There's so many anomalies and deceptions that have occurred. So what I've tried to do, I spent most of the day today trying to compile mini videos just with clips and stuff that I've had. I have quite an extensive archive of 9/11 videos that I've had for quite some time. So I was going through all that and getting some newer ones and stuff. But the video editing program I use seemed to crash today for some reason. I've tried everything to try to fix it, but I couldn't figure it out. So I did get a few clips prepared already. But the other clips for the other things I was gonna show you guys, I guess I'll just have to show you the raw videos and just manually get them on the screen to show you guys, so it's as smooth as possible. But I did try to get some little video clips and put them together so that I could make it easier to show you guys as much as possible in this short 2-hour episode that we have. So it was it was quite the task today to gather all the information and get this ready for you guys, but I am looking forward to this episode for sure. Another episode I'm looking forward to is next week's episode. It's the first time that I'll have a guest on the show here on Unveiling the Truth. Very special guest indeed, someone I've talked to through emails for the last year or so, and that is David Dees. He's the political artist. He's well known for his conspiracy art. You could find it all over the internet. Several DVD covers, book covers. The list goes on. I knew he had quite a few art projects on the go, but when I was gathering resources for the episode next week with him, it just became apparent how much art he actually created. There's so many pictures I never seen before that I stumbled upon. So next week's episode should be pretty exciting, so tune in here on the Truth Broadcast Network, Unveiling the Truth, to catch the interview with David Dees, political artist. That should be very exciting. So without burning any more time here in the 2 hours that I have, I'm going to get right to the 9/11 stuff. But first, actually, I wanted to let you guys know that I've also started doing something, little news clips, short little news clips about recent news stories that the media is totally lying about. I'm going to start inserting them into the Unveiling the Truth broadcasts here and there whenever I come across a story that I discover that we've been lied to about. And today I have one that I made yesterday in regards to Diane Reedy. So anybody who doesn't know who she is, you'll find out in a moment. But I posted this video on the Unveiling the Truth YouTube channel, as well as my own personal Mark Howitt YouTube channel. So check it out after the broadcast. But we're going to check it out right here on the program today. This doesn't have anything to do with 9/11, but it does clearly show how the media is used to cover up things that happen in regards to politics or world events and such. And it's no exception with 9/11. I mean, they've been doing that for quite some time now, for as long as I can remember. Even before Kennedy was assassinated, they've been manipulating the media to shape public opinion, and that's what they do. So what I'm going to show you guys is a little segment which will be showing here on the Unveiling the Truth program, and the clips actually will be called Reading Between the Lies. So Reading Between the Lies is exactly what I've done. I've just taken the news reports that they're showing us and investigating it, deciphering it, and showing you guys what really happened and asking questions about what really happened. So with the Diane Reedy cover-up is what this one is called. I hope you guys enjoy this. It's just something that I figured out while I was doing some research on my own this week. I stumbled upon the Diane Reedy story, and I wish I would have covered this on last week's episode. which was the one on Freemasons, because it does kind of tie in with that. But without further ado, here it is. Here's the Diane Reedy cover-up.
We living in a new world order, a global takeover. Now let me show ya the reasons why you gotta look over your shoulder. A time when hearts are filled with disorder. We living in a new world order, a global takeover. Better take cover or fight back against the system. The choice is yours, be the resistance.
You may or may not know who Diane Reedy is, which is why she is worth pointing out. She received headlines when she went on the podium during the October 16th debt ceiling vote by the House of Representatives, the final vote on the debt deal to reopen the US government. What many do not know is that the media, along with factions of the US government, were involved in a cover-up as to what she said on the podium. The mainstream media reported her outburst as being religiously natured, and she was escorted out of the chamber and forced to receive a psychiatric evaluation, which led the media to claim she was suffering a mental breakdown of sorts. Let's take a closer look as to what really happened. First, let's listen to the mainstream media perspective.
Wednesday was a long day for lawmakers and everyone else who was working on Capitol Hill.
Well, one of the House stenographers reached her breaking point, apparently. She stormed the floor while members were voting. Take a look at the video. Banging the gavel there. It's hard to see and hear her with all that's going on, but she's at the center of the podium. This is where the president usually delivers the State of the Union address. She yelled, "Do not be deceived. God shall not be mocked," and quote, "A house divided cannot stand."
A congressional employee had to be removed after she began shouting. Lawmakers said she was yelling about the house being divided and the devil. Reedy was questioned by police. She was then taken to the hospital to be evaluated.
Following the outburst, the woman was interviewed by U.S. Capitol Police and then taken to a Washington area hospital for a mental health evaluation. Her name is Diane Reedy and is well known to House lawmakers as one of the stenographers who regularly works on the House of Representatives floor. We're told she walked up to the podium below the presiding officer and asked if the microphones were on. She then began saying things like, "Thus spoke the Lord," and "This is not the Lord's work."
The Constitution would not have been written by Freemasons. They go against God. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters. Praise be to God, Lord Jesus Christ.
Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, who was presiding at the time, then hammered the gavel and tried to quiet her. Reedy then said something about the devil. Ros-Lehtinen called it sudden, confusing, and heartbreaking, and noted that this woman is typically a gentle soul. This was a moment late night on a big night here on Capitol Hill that genuinely seemed to stun lawmakers on both sides of the aisle.
It seems as though she snapped.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite sad.
There was a lot going on. And
Most media sources left out the part about the Freemasons during their reports. However, upon a closer inspection, it soon becomes apparent that the audio clip of what Diane is saying is not actually what she really said. The media covered up what was really said during these moments to avoid the public from hearing it. The statements made by Diane that were played by media outlets actually came from outside the chambers while she was being detained and sent for psychiatric evaluation. Let's take a closer look.
This is not one nation under God. It never was. Had it been, it would not have been. No. It would not have been. Constitution would not have been written by Freemasons. They go against God. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters. Praise be to God, Lord Jesus Christ.
Let's take another look at what mainstream media reported again. Notice that the audio has clearly been pasted over the video of Diane on the podium, disguising what she was really saying.
House stenographer getting up to the microphones. Let's take a listen to this first of all.
Sure.
No, it would not have been. Constitution would not have been written by Freemasons. They go against God. You cannot serve two masters. This is not one nation under God. It never was. Had it been, it would not have been. No, it would not have been.
said, "Thus spoke the Lord, and this is not the Lord's work," is what she said at the microphones.
Notice the audio quality change when she begins to speak, and the words covering her mouth movements, disguising what she's saying.
He will not be mocked. He will not be mocked. Don't touch me. He will not be mocked. The greatest deception here is this is not one nation under God. It never was. Had it been, it would not have been. No. It would not have been. The Constitution would not have been written by Freemasons. They go against God. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters.
Now that we've reviewed the real source of the audio, let's take a look at the original C-SPAN video recording of the moments leading up to Diane's decision to protest at the podium. Keep in mind this is the original video and audio from October 16th, 2013. As we've seen in previous videos, Diane is seated under the word remaining, underneath the NG. Right now she is speaking to somebody who's sitting beside her, and there's also a gentleman, a white-haired gentleman, standing in front of her. Here she gets up, and she says something to the gentleman at the desk behind her, and he kind of looks bewildered and is kind of concerned, looking around, going, what's going on? And here she takes to the podium. And this is what she actually says. I've increased the volume for you to hear it better. It's hard to determine what she is saying at the podium because of the background noise, but it could be that she's revealing some sort of fraudulent activity in regards to the vote. Or, because she was discussing Freemasonry, it could be that she's revealing or protesting against Freemasons in the government. This could be the reason why the federal government wanted to cover this video up so badly. Notice how the media places the audio clip over top of the sound from the chamber, disguising what she was saying.
No. It would not have been.
The pounding of the javelin isn't even in sequence with the audio. Horrible editing by mainstream media. Now the question remains, why would the media place this audio portion over what was actually said? Now this is taking place after Diane was removed from the chamber, and notice everyone's reaction. There's a general feeling of concern. People look worried, especially the man behind sitting at the desk that she said something to. Actually, you'll notice that people come over to where he's seated afterwards and ask him a bunch of questions. Likely, they're probably concerned about what's going on. Here they come. There's people approaching the desk now, asking him what's going on. So the media definitely covered up what she was saying. And for the purposes, I'm not too sure. That's the question that really remains. Proper audio analysis might be able to determine what she said, but the microphone was never turned on for Diane. So it's very hard to hear what she was saying over top of all the background noise. Now this is proof right here that the media lies to us all the time. And this is just one example out of many where you have to keep your eye out for what the media is telling you and find the truth, doing your own research. Thanks for watching.
We living in a new world order, a global takeover. Now let me show ya the reasons why you gotta look over your shoulder. A time when hearts are filled with disorder. We living in a new world order, a global takeover. Better take cover or fight back against the system. The choice is yours, be the resistance.
Well, there we have it, folks. Diane Reedy. What she said at the podium was definitely covered up. Who knows what she said? With the proper audio analysis, like I said in the video, we probably figure it out, but it is hard to tell. I mean, I boosted the volume as much as I could with my headphones, and I couldn't make out what she was saying. Definitely she was protesting against something, and it looked like she was speaking to the gentleman with the white hair in front of her before she decided to pack up her stenography equipment and then get up and walk around. And as she was walking around, she said something quickly to the gentleman at the desk behind her, and the media was reporting that that's likely when she said it, if the mic was turned on, because she did ask somebody if the microphone was turned on. Maybe that's what she said while she was walking past. And as soon as she starts talking, you can see everybody just turn around and look directly at her. And and then the media covers it up by pasting what she said in the hallway over top of that part, and now everybody thinks that she was, going off in an outburst about Freemasons and religion and stuff, when that's what she said before she got rushed into the elevator, brought to seek psychiatric help. And you never know, right? Maybe she's being treated like Brandon Raub was, the former U.S. Marine who spoke out against government and tyranny and corruption, or Mark Taylor from the Columbine survivor, who also went to a psychiatric treatment and came out. He wasn't the same person. And I actually recently also listened to an interview with Diane's husband, Dan Reedy, and he seems to think that, well, he was saying that she wasn't really talking too much about it afterwards and stuff. So maybe she doesn't want to talk about it because of something that they said to her when they got her out of there. This is just one example of many, like the video said, of how the media lies to us, makes up stories or covers things up and then puts it out there, and then everybody believes it. So that's very important. It even ties in a little bit with the 9/11, because that's exactly what the media did for 9/11. So the reason why so many people question the official story in regards to 9/11 is because the official narrative does not add up. If you actually take a look at what happened on that day and the days following and leading up to it, nothing adds up. That's for sure. The media has been deceptive. They've lied. They've retracted stories. They've put out news segments, and then you only see them once, and then they vanish. So it's thankful that there's people out there that actually save these news clips and then distribute them over the internet in mass amounts, so that people can download them, and that these video clips and these rare news stories actually don't get erased from the internet. Because it's very important that you capture these news clips as fresh as possible, because when the event happens, the news reporters are out there trying to break a story right away. They want to get the biggest scoop. They want to get the news first. So they're going to be on scene gathering whatever information they can get. And a lot of stories do get retracted later on because of this, because they don't want the information getting out to the public. So that's one of the ways that these gatekeepers or these media sources do things. And the reason why the media lies is to shape public opinion, to either sway public opinion a certain way or make everybody believe that something happened when it really didn't happen that way. And then that way the story goes down in the history books written as the media portrays it, and people just forget about it. As generations pass, the story is set in stone, and then the lie becomes essentially a fictional reality. So that's one thing you got to look out for when it comes to these events, and these people should not be allowed to get away with this, which is why there's so many people vigilant in the truth movement that are trying to uncover the answers and get the information out there and actually resolve these issues and get the real story out there, so that the history books can be written with truth, not fictional reality. So a lot of people have spoken out against 9/11. Anybody who's a celebrity or a public figure that spoke out about 9/11 essentially was ridiculed, especially in the following years directly after 9/11 happened. These people didn't believe the official narrative. They spoke out against the government story and the 9/11 Commission, etc. And a lot of these people lost their careers. And as we'll take a look on later in the episode, a lot of people have died mysteriously that were connected to this. A lot of people that are involved with the 9/11 incident that saw something, or that had information or evidence that could prove something, mysteriously died. We'll take a look at that a bit later in the episode. But let's take a look first. I guess I'll just show a couple clips of a couple people who I'm sure we've seen these clips before, but it is important to point out that when somebody does speak out against what's happening and they're a celebrity, like for instance Charlie Sheen, I'm going to show you guys a clip from Charlie Sheen, who was speaking out against 9/11, and his career went to the waste afterwards. They made sure that he lost his job. They just totally destroyed him in the media, headline after headline of just negative stories. So that's something that happened, and let's just see here on which video to show you guys. Here's a video message that he sent to Obama that he wanted Obama to see. which some of you may have seen, but it is a
No
pretty
warning
good video.
signs that I'm aware of.
And it was a revelation that the White House had no intention of making public.
President Bush was told in August that Osama bin Laden might be planning an attack involving the hijacking.
Could have predicted.
Nobody in our government, at least.
August 6th PDD.
I believe the title was Bin Laden Determined to Attack Inside the United States.
70% of family members' questions were never answered during the 9/11 Commission report.
Lee Hamilton and Thomas Keane said they were set up to fail.
I mean, I'm a member of the commission. It's a scam. It's absolutely disgusting.
The questions, Mr. President. The questions.
Building 7 ablaze at the moment and apparently getting ready to collapse.
Building 7, free-fall collapse.
Well, no, there's number 7 coming down. The excitement and the fun that people get watching an old building being demolished, and they wired very carefully for days, and it's a very careful operation.
Third time today. It's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before, when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
The smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy.
We are getting information now that one of the other buildings, Building 7 in the World Trade Center complex, is on fire and has either collapsed or is collapsing.
The Pentagon. Vanishing airplane.
My close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site is the actual site of the building that's crashed in, and as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wing sections, a fuselage, nothing like that anywhere around, which would indicate that the entire plane crashed into the side of the Pentagon.
Firefighters and police describing explosions. A lot of them.
The secondary explosion. We've got numerous people covered with dust from the secondary explosion.
Just floor by floor instead of popping out.
It was like it was if they had detonated.
Yeah,
if they were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
Looks sort of like the building just demolished.
Even if there was no secondary explosives in the building.
Kind of like gunfire. You know, bang, 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 and then all of a sudden 3 big explosions.
Do you know if it was an explosion or if it was a building collapse?
To me, it sounded like an explosion.
Chief Albert Turry told me that he tried to get his men out as quickly as he could, but he said that there was another explosion which took place, and then an hour after there was another explosion in one of the towers here.
Sibel Edmonds, FBI translator, breaking her gag order.
All our intimate relationship with Bin Laden and Taliban. We did carry very intimate relationship with these people all the way up to September 11.
Bin Laden was spirited into this military hospital in Rawalpindi for kidney dialysis treatment. The military had him surrounded. They were saying that Osama bin Laden had to be watched carefully and looked after.
NORAD standing down. Where were the planes?
On now to one of the eeriest moments amid the carnage of 9/11. A mysterious plane was seen flying right over the president's residence.
The E-4Bs over New York and Washington, otherwise known as the Doomsday Planes.
It has never been officially explained.
Cell phones working at impossible altitudes. Solicitor General Ted Olson receiving phone calls that the FBI says were never made.
What happened during that call? This is the only information we have on these terrorists.
She was able to call him twice. How she could pull that off, we don't know, but she did.
These are the questions, Mr. President. These are the questions. They go on and on.
So Charlie, soon after these revelations, he did go out and he did join some protesters, and he was speaking out publicly about 9/11, demanding a better investigation into what's going on. He did ask the president directly for answers to these questions that he had, and he never received answers. And also, he also lost his job at acting for 2.5 Men. So they destroyed his career. They totally ridiculed this guy and cut him down because he was trying to strive for the truth and get the information out to the public and just asking legitimate questions that we all have in regards to 9/11. So that he's just one example. Another clip I wanted to show you guys. I actually had a better clip of Charlie Sheen all put together, but the media program crashed on me earlier, so I wasn't able to actually piece it together. But I did show you guys that one clip there. But there is another celebrity, I guess you could say. And this is quite interesting here because, as you'll see, you guys will recognize who this is right away. But he was actually against 9/11 truthers for quite some time, and then afterwards he came on board with everybody else and decided to question things. So
when we come back, we'll take you into the secret world of restroom gay sex. I think these demonstrators are all into restroom gay sex. Welcome back, everybody. We've been surrounded by an activist, radical, I don't know, communist group. I don't know who the hell they are. But let me go on to our planned program. First, he said he was going to step down after allegedly approaching an undercover cop for sex. Okay. As this group of misfits behind me continue their chanting, "Oh, I wish I could go." Geraldo. Yes. Let's go to Mark Garagos. I think it's quieter in Los Angeles.
We're here in Hollywood. There's plenty of places to go have anonymous sex. Right. And if you want crazy protesters, Geraldo, we have them up here as well.
Right.
Mark is absolutely right. It's the hypocrisy of it all.
It's all about hypocrisy, no question about it.
Okay. Let's take a break. We'll explain why the ladies are all wearing these outfits. A crazy night here in New York after this. Welcome back live. All hell is breaking loose on 6th Avenue. You know, you need a permit to protest or demonstrate.
And we'll see how Geraldo soon changes his tune about what he believes about 9/11.
They really are one of the least attractive groups of demonstrators I've ever seen. One of the leaders, I guess, if violence breaks out, don't worry, we can handle it. Our Fox News team can take this bunch of I don't want to use any foul language, but
so yes, as we'll notice in the next clip, he changes his tune.
That office fires caused by the nearby catastrophe of the towers collapsing brought down building number 7.
But I do believe that it is the first time in history that fire has ever melted steel. I do believe that it defies physics for the World Trade Center Tower 7, Building 7, which collapsed in on itself. It is impossible for a building to fall the way it fell without explosives being involved.
And if explosives were involved, that would mean that the most obnoxious protesters in recent years are right.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Geraldo Rivera, and that noisy demonstration was more than 2 years ago. But the folks behind that TV ad you saw earlier are not so easy to dismiss as those demonstrators were. And what caught my eye is their claim that more than 1,300 architects and engineers examined the evidence about Building 7's collapse and disagree with the official report issued by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. But up front tonight, Building 7 was no ordinary building. Among other key tenants, including several intelligence and law enforcement agencies, it also housed New York City's Emergency Operations Center, known as Mayor Giuliani's bunker. Here to tell us what they know about its collapse and why they question the official conclusions are Bob McIlvaine, whose son died in the World Trade Center, and Tony Zambati, a mechanical engineer. Nice to see you guys. Welcome.
Thank you,
welcome.
Geraldo.
Nice to meet you, Geraldo. Our condolences, obviously, for your loss. But Tony, let me start with you. You're an engineer.
It is November 2010. Why are you, with all the spotlight that you can draw to what you say because of who you are, revisiting 9/11 and who caused it or who may have caused it now?
Let me take one brief back step and contextually say that I loathe conspiracy theories.
I know that.
I've investigated the Bermuda Triangle. My son Cruz and I were just watching a documentary about it. The Kennedy assassination. I played the Zapruder film for the first time on national television.
You're not a fan of Jesse,
I am
Jesse Ventura on that one.
Or conspiracies generally. But what caught my eye here, Judge, and I think that it would have been irresponsible of me because I care so much, is this commercial that the families put out about how not only do they ache and that they want these questions answered, but also that they have these 1,300 architects and engineers who doubt the official conclusion about how Building 7 was brought down.
Do you doubt the official conclusion of how Building 7 came down?
I think that it is highly unlikely that our government would do anything nefarious on a scale of this epic nature. However, the building does appear to come down in a way that is reminiscent of a controlled demolition.
All right. Could the most obnoxious protesters in recent years be right if the explosives were there and the government didn't cause it, didn't know about it, but won't tell us about it?
Could is a very, very big word, but if indeed explosives were involved, then yes, those loathsome 9/11 were an inside job protesters maybe have some reason to have adherents of people more mainstream, more responsible than them.
The 9/11 Truth Movement certainly didn't accept Geraldo with open arms. Here's a clip from an Occupy protest that Geraldo visited. It's hard to determine what these people were saying when Geraldo was walking by, but judging by the energy of the crowd and just how he leaves. He's definitely not lying when they're saying to his eyes. They know that he works for one of the most deceptive media agencies in the planet, Fox News. He's living in luxury and he visits the Occupy movement. I mean, come on, like Geraldo doesn't have investments. There's no gravity in the order agenda of being intermediate gatekeepers. They're saying goodbye to Geraldo.
Proud of it too. You're gonna lie about us. You're gonna tell the whole world that we're just a bunch of idiots at a party, bums, who are doing something un-American. But in fact, this is American. This is democracy. Show me what democracy looks like.
Yeah, his mask isn't working. That's what's happening there. So there is celebrities that did speak out against this stuff. Some of them were accepted, some of them were not. But it's important to point out that a majority of people believe that it was not the way that the media presents it. They believe that there is definitely certain aspects of 9/11 that we've been lied to about. And in the rest of this broadcast, we're going to unveil the truth, because that's what we do here. So what I want to get onto is the fact, could there have been prior knowledge to 9/11 happening? Because that's an important question, I think, in regards to this. And there's a couple things that I need to point out. The first is that there was a guy, William Cooper. I'm sure all of you know who he is. He did predict that 9/11 would happen. He called it right exactly for what it was. And I'm going to show you guys a clip now of a radio broadcast he did prior to 9/11 happening, where he describes that they're going to blame it on Osama bin Laden, and that it would be extreme, exactly what happened. And then a couple months later, actually on November 5th of the same year, 2001, William Cooper was killed on his front doorstep, protecting his home from agents of the government who were moving in, trying to arrest him on a tax evasion warrant, apparently. There's all sorts of things that they made up about him and stuff like that to try to catch William Cooper and shut him up, essentially, because he was bang on about a lot of the things he was talking about in his broadcast. He's also the author of definitely one of my favorite books, Behold a Pale Horse. So anybody who hasn't read this book, I'd definitely order it if I were you. There's a lot of information in there in regards to so many conspiracies that have happened throughout the ages, and there's also legitimate documents and paperwork that he's included in the book to prove his points. He was definitely precise, and he also founded CAJA, which was the civilian joint intelligence network. Essentially, they were just gathering information and intelligence as much as they could on the government and trying to prove things, declassified information, stuff like that. So William Cooper was definitely onto a lot of things at the time, right before his death, and how this is exactly how precise he was. I'm just going to get it on here on the screen. And again, anybody who hasn't read his book, Behold a Pale Horse, definitely worth checking out, I would definitely say.
The first warrant was served on September 11th of 2001, but was postponed. It would not be until November of 2001 when the police would finally make an attempt to raid Cooper. Cooper's broadcasts at this time had already been looking into the federal government's compliance in the events of 9/11.
One of the things that makes everybody wonder why Bill's life was snuffed out in 2001 was because in June of that year, Osama bin Laden, who was a relative unknown at that time, Bill had been following the news and found a lot of curiosities and went on the air predicting that there would be a major attack in the United States and that it would be blamed on Osama bin Laden, but he was literally the scapegoat that was being used, not truly behind the attacks. So that, I mean, just a few months before the events of September 11th, and then of course Bill's life cut short shortly thereafter.
Supposedly, a CNN reporter found Osama bin Laden, took a television camera crew with him, went into Osama bin Laden's hideout, interviewed him and his top leadership, and he came out and told everybody, within 3 weeks, Osama bin Laden is going to attack the United States and Israel. Now, don't you think that's kind of strange, folks? You see, because the largest intelligence apparatus in the world, with the biggest budget in the history of the world, has been looking for Osama bin Laden for years and years and years, and can't find him. Some doofus jerk-off reporter with a camera crew waltzes right into his hideout and interviews him. And I'm telling you, be prepared for a major attack. But it won't be Osama bin Laden. It will be those behind the New World Order. I wonder what Osama bin Laden's targets are supposed to be. And if they don't, if this doesn't materialize in the next 2 or 3 weeks, it will eventually materialize because they haven't succeeded in getting the guns out of the hands of the American people, nor have they succeeded in taking our freedoms away. And so I can tell you with a certainty, they must do something terrible in order to stop this backlash and regain the sympathy of the mass herds of sheeple out there.
And that was a clip from the documentary The Legacy of William Cooper. So anybody who hasn't seen that, definitely check it out. It's all about the life of definitely one of the most notorious and influential truth soldiers out there. So, William Cooper calls it for what it is. He definitely called it for what it was early on in June, actually. And there's also other videos that I want to show you that are definitely in the same vein of prior knowledge. These are clips actually from various movies that were put out before 2001, before September 11th, 2001. Definitely a lot of symbolism used in Hollywood, in programs and stuff like that, indicating that something like this was going to happen. So there had to have been some sort of prior knowledge by some group of people anyways. So we're going to take a look at this right here.
Worst act of destruction since the World Trade Center bombing.
With a female underage in a motel by the Dallas Police Department on September 11, 1960.
So if that's not curious, then I don't know what is. Definitely prior knowledge in Hollywood symbolism. I mean, clear as day, 9/11, New York is shown, the Twin Towers buildings, all sorts of anomalies that you definitely pointing it to make one believe that there was at least some sort of prior knowledge. And another curious aspect to this whole thing is actually the Bush family, because George Bush Sr., the father, just 10 years prior, gave the infamous New World Order speech at the United Nations Assembly. And it's important to check that out as well, because that also indicates some sort of prior knowledge, in my opinion, because father and son, 10 years apart, exact same day. Bush was talking about the war that was going on, Saddam Hussein, Iraq, and the war in Persia and stuff like that. And then you have also 10 years later his son, who's the president of the United States, and then 9/11 happens, and there's so many anomalies that are that in regards to that as well, in regards to the Bush family having prior knowledge. So we're gonna check this out here, the Bush clips, as I'll call it.
For 2 centuries, we've done the hard work of freedom, and tonight we lead the world in facing down a threat to decency and humanity. What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law. Such is a world worthy of our struggle and worthy of our children's future.
So there's Bush Sr. talking about the future, talking about how he's instilling a new world order and stuff like that. Well, his son definitely continued the new world order, implementing it. There's so many reasons behind 9/11 happening with the gain that they had, the globalists. So that's the first part there. But where was George Bush Jr., his son, during 9/11? Well, he was in a classroom. And there's a lot of clues that are involved in the classroom appearance as well. I took the raw video here, and I brought out some words, put some words on the screen so that it points out certain parts that are important to point out. So here we go.
Position. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Good morning, boys and girls. Good morning, ladies. Good morning. I have brought with you the most wonderful guest. Would you please stand and recognize the President of the United States?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? I'd also like you to meet the Secretary of Education and the Lieutenant Lieutenant Governor of Florida. We met, didn't we? Good to meet you. Hi. And this is Hi, Mr. Anderson. How are you? Great to meet everybody.
Eric? What are you doing? Eric?
Good to meet you all. Thanks. You okay? Good. Well, sit down, please. Thank you for standing up. Good to meet you all.
Get ready. Smile. Yes, smile. Get ready. More. Yes, more. Get ready. Light. Yes, light. Get ready. Light. Yes, light. Go ahead and pick your reader up from under your seat. Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 153.
Had to make sure they captured that moment on film.
Go on.
She likes to go running with her pet goat.
Go on.
She played with her tail.
Try it again. Get ready from the beginning of that sentence. Get ready.
She played with her goat in her house.
Go on.
She played with her goat in her yard.
Good job. Go on.
But the goat did some things that made the girl sad.
Let's clean that up. Get ready. Travel.
So if you were listening to what the teacher was saying, she was talking about a pet goat. The story that they're reading there is about a pet goat. And the whole classroom sequence was definitely planned beforehand. In fact, at the beginning, when you seen the Minister of Education come in, it's even exchanged the words, "We've met before." So it was all planned out beforehand. Those children were definitely like robots, definitely obedient to the tapping. They're definitely it's like a programmed classroom of robots. I've never seen a classroom so militant, I guess you could say. It's like they're training for the military or something. They're so precise and like on time and with everything. Definitely huge programming going on in that classroom. But those children were definitely prepared for this, prepared to be in the classroom for all this. So this whole staged appearance was definitely set up beforehand, which is why when the gentleman whispered in Bush's ear about the World Trade Center attacks, you hear the camera snapping off so much to getting all those pictures of that moment. It's like all the cameramen in the media that were in the room at the time were told specifically when this guy goes up to him, get pictures of that. Make sure you get pictures of that specific moment, because you hear a definite increase in the pictures being taken and stuff as somebody whispers in his ear. You'd figure that the media in the classroom itself would be covering the children in the room and what they're reading and the whole educational aspect of it, not so much what was said and what was whispered in his ear. So that's a clue indicating that Bush definitely knew beforehand. And he even said that he was watching the planes crash into the buildings beforehand on a TV monitor before he even went in the classroom. So, and then he later retracted that story. So definitely lying to the public, which is what they do best. But I'm gonna we're gonna investigate just a small little portion of an animated video that came out after 9/11. But it perfectly describes what you just seen in that classroom. Bush sitting there having advanced knowledge, and actually the story that the children were reading was about a pet goat, and this video is called I Pet Goat, and this is just a small clip from that. The puppet with the money on the ring, globalists controlling the president. He's in the classroom here, same spot as he was before, with the teacher, same teacher, standing beside him. There's a building burning behind him on the chalkboard.
Shame on. Shame on. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. For me, take it for the year. 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 Take it for the year.
Coming up, we have the collapse of the Twin Towers after the Apple splits. They know we know. And here it is, the Twin Towers, the collapsing. So that video is called I Pet Goat 2. You can check it out on YouTube, or it's all over the place. But that animation shows Bush in the classroom. Exactly, the children were reading the story about the pet goat. So that's very interesting to point out. Definitely that whole staged classroom appearance thing. I had to point that out because it does kind of fall into the category of the prior knowledge aspect of 9/11. And we're going to get back to the clip of Bush because there's other things that are curious about that as well.
Let's go. But one day a car robber came to the girl's house.
A car robber.
She saw a big red car near the house and said, I will steal that car. Go on.
Learning about stealing. That's what they're reading about.
Oh, yes.
Crime.
Oh, yes.
Anybody do that? Read more than you watch TV? Oh, that's great. Very good. Very important to practice.
Now keep in mind, this is after he already knows about the World Trade Center. He remained in the classroom while the country was apparently under attack by terrorists. I mean, if he didn't know that it was going to happen beforehand, he'd probably be a bit more excited than that. Not excited, but rather he would have been more involved. He would have got up out of his seat and actually did something about it. But the failure of a president sat there in the classroom. And he kind of slipped up eventually. He kind of slipped up during a news interview this year in 2013 where he practically admits that 9/11 was a conspiracy. Let's check this out.
Mr. President, I do want to get right to the news of this week.
Sure.
The terrorism in Boston.
Yeah.
Many people have wondered if it took you right back to 9/11 when you heard it.
Well, at first, I was deeply concerned that there might have been a organized plot. I don't know all the facts. I don't think we all know all the facts, but I was deeply concerned that this could have been, another organized, highly organized attack on the country. And it still may be. Again, I don't know the facts, but I do know that it's really hard to protect the homeland.
Let's take a listen
Deeply
again.
concerned that this could have been, another organized, highly organized attack on the country.
You see that? Pretty much slipped. Pretty much slipped and said that it was an inside job. And that's pretty bad when the president gets on there claiming that it was an inside job, a conspiracy. He's a cunt, and you see him like just barely retract what he was about to say, and that was just after the Boston Marathon bombing. So that's definitely a newer video clip of what Bush has to say about 9/11. So that's pretty much it for Bush. There's a lot more in the Bush aspect of things in regards to 9/11 that could be looked at. But there's also Larry Silverstein, who was the owner of the World Trade Center buildings. He put an insurance claim on the buildings prior to the attacks. And in the insurance claims, it stipulated the exact same instances that happened to the buildings. So he was able to get lots of money. He got super rich off insuring the buildings before they collapsed. Definitely a crime in my eyes. if you ask me. I did have some Larry Silverstein videos that I was piecing together, compilation, but because my video program stopped working on me earlier, I wasn't able to actually finalize those, and instead of going through all the videos like a needle in a haystack, I'm actually going to skip over that and just... I'm sure that there's another clip that I'll be showing you guys shortly there that has a clip of Larry Silverstein in it. Who definitely knew beforehand, in my opinion, about what was taking place, which is why he didn't show up to work that day. He claims it was for other reasons, but I highly doubt that, and so do many other people. So I'm just taking a look here at what other videos that we could play here. There's so many important videos when it comes to the 9/11 that just totally prove that it was an inside job and that there was prior knowledge about what happened. Let me just go over this really quickly here. And yeah, here's a good one. This is essentially news compilations, a news compilation about various news reports that were essentially censored later on by the media, that were retracted, that only played a couple times. I managed to compile a few of them together in a video here. So here we go. We'll take a look at that.
No second plane. It was a bomb. Bombed in the building, not second plane. That was a bomb. Who said the second plane?
That's what we're told, the second plane.
No,
we saw it on television.
I saw everything.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. This is...
Idea of how much of the plane actually impacted the building.
You know, it might have appeared that way, but from my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site is the actual side of the building that's crashed in, and as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wing sections, a fuselage, nothing like that anywhere around, which would indicate that the entire plane crashed into the side of the Pentagon and then caused the side to collapse. Now, even though if you look at the pictures of the Pentagon, you see that the floors have all collapsed, that didn't happen immediately. It wasn't until almost about 45 minutes later that the structure was weakened enough that all of the floors collapsed.
So I wanted to show you guys this movie here, Flight 93, which is a Hollywood movie based off of Flight 93 that crashed in Pennsylvania on 9/11. And this movie was put out to, shape public opinion on the situation. So here's what the back of the movie says. Flight 93 tells a stirring story of the brave passengers and crew aboard hijacked United Airlines Flight 93 on September 11, 2001. After learning of the attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, these ordinary civilians chose to fight back against the terrorists. The courageous revolt ultimately led to the deadly crash in a Shanksville, Pennsylvania field just 20 minutes from Washington. Now here's something to clue into. The passengers' actions likely prevented the plane from being used as a guided missile to destroy the U.S. Capitol or the White House. Now keep that in mind while you watch the next clip.
Have a sense, if we imagine the kind of world we would face if the people who bombed the Vest Hall in Mosul, or the people who did the bombing in Spain, or the people who attacked the United States in New York, shot down the plane over Pennsylvania and attacked the Pentagon.
Now, you and the president had earlier discussed rules of engagement for taking down a hijacked airplane, but you were the one who gave the direct order to shoot down a plane that you were told, as it turns out incorrectly, was headed for Washington.
Right. That's correct.
What's that moment like?
Well, it was necessary, and it was frankly, I didn't pause to think about it very much, because once one of those aircraft was hijacked, it was a weapon. We'd seen already, by that time, 3 of them go in to the Pentagon and the World Trade Center in New York. As a result, thousands died, and if we had been in a position to intercept one of those to keep it from striking its target, would we have done it? Absolutely. And what I did was pass on the President's approval of the basic proposition that we would, in fact, authorize our people to shoot down aircraft that had been hijacked and refused to divert. So I saw it as part of my responsibility, but I did it quickly because we had a lot of other things we were doing at the same time.
Have a sense, if we imagine the kind of world we would face if the people who bombed the Vest Hall in Mosul, or the people who did the bombing in Spain, or the people who attacked the United States in New York, shot down the plane over Pennsylvania and attacked the Pentagon.
As a result, thousands died, and
says that City Hall in Oakland will remain open. It will be business as usual. He is urging people to remain calm given what is going on, remain calm. Oakland City Hall will remain open, but in San Francisco, City Hall has been closed. We're also just getting word here now that a second United Airlines jet, Flight 175, from Boston to Los Angeles, is now missing. Again, if you're just joining us, there have been 4 separate plane crashes. 3 of those planes were en route to California. 2 were heading to LAX. The 3rd was heading to San Francisco International Airport.
That was specifically the one heading to SFO, United Flight number 93 from Newark to SFO. It apparently crashed in Pennsylvania, fairly close to the border of Maryland and not too far from Camp David. Why is that significant? Because one of the groups possibly claiming responsibility for all these terrorist attacks is the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine, and it was this week in 1978 that the Camp David Accords were reached. Is there a connection? At this point, we don't know, but it is important to be aware of that situation. In Washington, D.C., many congressional leaders have been transferred to a secret location. Some senators have described this as a second Pearl Harbor. And President Bush was in Florida this morning, but he made a brief announcement when the first attacks were clear on the World Trade Center, and he was heading back to Washington, D.C. At this point, we don't know exactly where he is. They're not really broadcasting that information, but we are told that the president is safe right now.
We're waiting for a press conference to start in San Francisco from the Office of Emergency Services to discuss what the situation, what the city's reaction to all of this is going to be. But again, right now in San Francisco.
And we're back here on Unveiling the Truth. Sorry about that, folks. I got disconnected from the server, it appears. But I'm going to get right back to what I was saying. In the news clips that we just watched, Shanksville as well as the Pentagon, there's so many questions that need to be answered in regards to Shanksville and the Pentagon planes. Nobody saw any debris or the plane, big pieces of the plane in either Shanksville nor the Pentagon. As well, no bodies, nothing like that. And of course, there's the obvious question about the impact on the Pentagon, and the size of the airplane could not have possibly made such a small impact on the building. There's so many questions. There's also the security cameras from around the Pentagon that apparently got taken by the FBI and other intelligence services, so that the public would not be able to see what actually hit the Pentagon. And many people think that it was a missile because it was flying so low and straight, and the turn was just impossible to make. There's so many just science proves that the official story is wrong in regards to that, put it that way. But a very important element in regards to the whole 9/11 cover-up is Building 7. That's one of the most important factors actually in regards to the whole investigation is Building 7, because it seemed to fall at free fall speed just as it would in a controlled demolition. Now, the other 2 towers were hit by airplanes, but the 7th, Building 7, was not. It just came down, and there's tons of witnesses claiming that they heard explosions all around the area just prior to that. And there's also Larry Silverstein saying "pull it" in an interview that he did, which I believe there's a clip that I'll show you guys in a bit that has that on it. So there's all this evidence pointing that it was a controlled demolition that took down Building 7, and people died as a result. There's so many questions, but there's also other anomalies as well. If anybody out there hasn't checked it out yet, there's an interesting film called 9/11: The Psy Opera, P-S-Y-O-P-E-R-A. Definitely check that out if you can. And that's all about video editing. And it shows that it could have been video edited, the planes hitting, because there's a lot of people, like we seen in that news report earlier, there was a gentleman saying, no, there was no plane that hit, it was a bomb. And there was other witnesses around the area as well saying that it was a bomb. And pretty much everybody that said they saw the planes, there is a few instances where people said they saw planes, but there's also other instances where they said they didn't see any planes, they just heard explosions and stuff. So it is very questionable. Check out the PsyOpera documentary. It's on YouTube, I believe, and that goes to show you how easy it is, and how definitely it raises a lot of questions in regards to the planes hitting the two towers in the first place. I'm on the fence about that. I definitely need to do a lot more investigation in regards to this, and actually doing all the research for this 9/11 episode here, 9/11 Anomalies and Deceptions. I definitely found a lot of new information I wasn't aware of before, and I'm actually thinking of planning on making a film or a documentary about 9/11, just my own investigative analysis on the whole situation and the various aspects and areas of the 9/11 investigation. I want to try to compile it into a film and get that out there. So that might be my next documentary project. It might be a 9/11 documentary, just to let you guys know out there. Because there's so many things that I won't even be able to cover in this one episode here about 9/11 that I would love to cover, but I just can't do it because there's not enough time. But I'm going to get back to the Building 7 here and the explosion aspect of the whole thing. We're going to take a look at a couple of videos here of why many people believe that it was controlled demolition. And there's also a very important commercial that was put out by engineers. And it's very very effective in showing that there's a lot more questions that need to be answered than what have been answered. So we're going to take a look at that video here as soon as I can get it on the screen here.
I lost my husband,
my son,
my uncle,
my nephew, on September 11th, 2001.
Most people don't know a third tower fell that day.
The government says fire brought it down.
The collapse of World Trade Center 7 was primarily due to fires.
I, along with 1,400 other architects and engineers,
have found the government's conclusion to be physically impossible.
Impossible.
We need the truth about what happened that day.
Go to rememberbuilding7.org.
Why it fell, why it matters, and what you can do.
Exactly. Building 7. How did that fall? And it wasn't even mentioned in the 9/11 Commission report. That's another important thing to point out. It's like they totally avoided that building altogether because they don't want people to find out information about that. There's also the Silverstein clip of him saying to pull it. They made the decision to pull the building. And as Geraldo mentioned in that clip earlier, that building particularly was the source for the largest office for CIA, as well as plenty of other intelligence communities. All sorts of papers and documents and records were in that building, as well as World Trade Center, the other two towers that were hit. All those buildings had tons of businesses in there, and when you fly planes into them and bring them down in controlled demolitions, you destroy all that paperwork, all those records, all that fraudulent activity that was going on, that was being done by these companies and organizations that were in there. Definitely have no trace now. So that could have been one of the motives for this crime. That could have been definitely a major intention of the globalists for bringing those towers down and doing that, which is why many people believe it was an inside job. That's one of the aspects to the case that they do consider was one of the motivational factors for this crime. And there's also lots of firefighter testimonies and stuff like that we should likely take a look at as well, because there's definitely a lot of people that claim to have heard explosions. And we're going to take a look at an audio analysis clip that's from an older film that I made. Actually, the first film I ever made, I included this portion into it. The Formation of Resistance is the documentary. But here we go.
All of a sudden we hear, boom! An explosion so hard that pushes us upwards upwards. And it came from the basement, between the B2 level and the B3 level. Screams everywhere. A person comes running into the office saying, explosion, explosion, explosion. His hands were extended, and his skin was pulled from under his armpits, all the way to the top of the fingertips. And he was hanging on both hands. The false ceiling fell on top of us. The sprinkler system got activated. And when I went to verbalize that it was a generator, we hear, boom, all the way on the top. The impact of the plane on the top.
To my right, and the elevators exploded, something out of like a Bruce Willis Die Hard movie. People just come running out of the elevators on fire, fireballed. I mean, it was like, what is going on here? There's something's up here. I mean, the plane's up there, now there's fire down here. We got down to the lobby, and everything was blown out, exploded. Everything was. And we were the only ones in the lobby now. We're going, wait a second here. But for every window in the lobby to be exploded. I mean, them windows were like as thick as forget it. They were 2-3 inch glasses, you know, come on. They exploded out of the lobby, you know, something, it wasn't from the jet fuel, no way. The elevators exploded, they were down from the lobby. The lobby was over here, that should never have happened. Something would happen there, and that wasn't. We came down, it looked like a bomb went off in the lobby. There was no fire, it just looked like a bomb went off.
I wasn't expecting to see the damage that I saw in the lobby, and the people, the bodies, the burnt people, the injured people. I really wasn't prepared for that.
I go in, and I hear screams, and right to my right, there is 2 people on fire, burning. I just didn't want to film that. It was like, no one should see this.
Pfeiffer was the first chief into the building. Right away, a guy from the Port Authority told him the damage was somewhere above the 78th floor. But all you had to do was look around. It was obvious. Something had happened right there in the lobby.
You just saw that all the windows were blown out.
The lobby looked like the plane hit the lobby. There were some casualties. There were several people with their hair singed, skin hanging off. And at that time, we heard a huge explosion. And we immediately dove for the stairs. Get back into the stairs. Let's get back into the stairs, because I had seen what happened in the lobby with the elevator being blown out. I said, if there's another explosion. What I feared, I never in a million years feared those buildings coming down. Never. I did fear secondary explosion or possibly a second plane. th floor. We hear another explosion. We hear somebody on the radio say the 64th floor has come down into the 63rd floor. So we said, okay, that's what it was. You have 2 110-story
office buildings, you don't find a desk, you don't find a chair, you don't find a telephone, a computer. The biggest piece of a telephone I found was half of the keypad, and it was about this big. The building collapsed to dust.
Anything I've ever seen like that, I've seen collapses and demolition buildings, but nothing like this. Was unbelievable. Like I said, there wasn't a door, there wasn't anything to be found. It was all disintegrated, all rubble. Concrete was small little pieces, not even slabs. No desk, no furniture, no computers, no phones, no anything. So I imagine the people were the same as the building, nothing left.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
Items found since the attack include a passport apparently belonging to one hijacker.
Not far from here, a passerby found the passport of one of the hijackers.
It was some distance from Ground Zero.
Not far from here.
Some distance from Ground Zero that a civilian found a passport lying on the street belonging to one of the suspected hijackers.
A couple of blocks away from the World Trade Center site, apparently where that passport was found, the FBI announcing that it has found the passport of one of the hijackers who was on board one of those two planes that hit the Twin Towers on Tuesday morning.
But a passport of a suspected hijacker has been discovered near the ruins.
In fact, the passport for one of the hijackers was found some 3 or 4 blocks away.
Federal Emergency Management Agency. With the FBI, we did counterterrorism training, things like that. I've been in many of the installations of the United States government that could be characterized as top secret or at least high security.
Era lo que se dice en Argentina un hombre de confianza.
Sí, sí. When the World Trade Center was attacked, I was the one that they called probably about 10 to 12 minutes after the first airplane struck the North Tower. The first thing that my boss said to me was turn on CNN, and so I turned on the television, and there is where I saw the North Tower with a hole in it and smoke coming out, and the graphics below said that a small airplane had crashed into the World Trade Center.
I remember that.
That's all we knew.
A Kurt Sonnenfeld siempre le llamó la atención que su jefe lo convocara a trabajar cuando aún no se sabía que lo que estaba pasando iba a ser un desastre nacional. Minas de las Torres Gemelas.
Investigations after, nobody knew. It was a complete surprise. But to me,
your boss knew.
My boss not only called me too early, but he was at work too early. He normally began work at 9 a.m. This day it was before 7 a.m. when he called me, and he called from his office. In New York, it's 2 hours time difference from Colorado, where I live. My boss was also in Colorado, so that struck me as strange. Total access. There wasn't
total access.
Yes. One of the first things that the government did was to close the perimeter of Ground Zero and prohibit all media from entering. Every 5 meters around the perimeter, you would see a sign hanging that said all cameras and video cameras are prohibited. Violators will be prosecuted and their equipment will be confiscated. In other words, they were very paranoid about other cameras being present. In other words,
But why?
They refused to allow the media to come in. They refused to allow any cameras in except for the official government cameras.
Except you.
Right. And I was given very specific instructions. I was told, number one, that I was supposed to videotape for the investigation, and number two, to provide images to the media of the world. So any images that you saw of Ground Zero in the immediate days after the attacks on the World Trade Center were taken by me.
You still have that
Yes.
tapes?
Yes, I do. I took 25 hours of tapes, and I still have them in my possession. Miraculously enough, after all that I've been through, it's amazing that I've been able to retain some things, because there have been some attempts to get them back. The reason that they gave was that it was a crime scene, and therefore they didn't want journalists destroying the evidence. But almost from day one, they began taking away all of the metal beams and driving trucks all over the evidence, and in fact took the metal beams out to Fishkill Island, which was then shipped to China to be melted down into scrap metal. So they themselves were destroying evidence almost purposely and programmatically from the very first days. The only video that they release is sanitized. I was given instructions to...
What's sanitized?
Sanitized. I was told not to show any bodies, any parts of bodies, any firemen or policemen or soldiers crying or having a personal moment, as they called it. Personal effects of any people that might have perished on September 11th. For example, if I showed somebody's yellow sweater laying on the ground, maybe that person's widow was watching television, still waiting for word whether or not her husband had died or was just missing, you know. So I wasn't able to show anything like that. But also it was highly stressed that I do not get any images of the documents laying around, because at Ground Zero there were millions and millions of papers floating around everywhere. It was really kind of surrealistic how much paper survived. The concrete...
There was a business center, a real business center.
Financial center and government center. Both
government center too?
Yeah, both of which love their documents, you know. But no, it's I don't know if it's well known, but the World Trade Center had many offices of government agencies. Had at the building number 6, for example, was U.S. Customs, which is a more militarized. It's not like the aduana here. It's militarized, and they can make arrests. They can store evidence. They can
weapons and drugs.
It's a police force that controls who and what comes in and out of the country. And for example, if they catch drugs or weapons or even nuclear material.
I remember you see something strange in Customs office.
Yes, I did. But that building 6 was almost completely, if not completely, government offices. In Building 7 also was offices for the Department of Defense, FBI, Secret Service. It was also then discovered too that was the largest clandestine office of the CIA outside of Virginia was in Building 7. That office was used to spy on the United Nations, as well as all of the international
The CIA was spying on the United Nations.
On the United Nations and on the World Trade Center as well. They were spying on the international financial agencies there. I find that the majority of people know nothing about Building 7. Everybody knows the North and South Tower fell on September 11th. Very few people know that a third tower fell 9 hours afterwards. That's Building 7. Was not hit by any airplane. Did not have any significant structural damage when the other towers fell.
And Building 7 were the CIA station?
Yes. In addition to that, it fell in 6.5 seconds, a 47-story building, and it fell perfectly straight down, vertically, in upon itself, just like you see when they implode a building. In fact, implosion engineers have said, we can only dream about such a perfect job. You can.
So even demolition people say that they could only dream of a job of theirs going as smoothly as Building 7 coming down. So that's why there are so many architects and engineers involved in the fight for getting the truth out about 9/11, is because they clearly see that we've been lied to by the media and the government about the official story, which is why there's still people like myself today doing and covering 9/11 and getting the information out to the people and revealing some of the evidence. So we have the clip there, but what I want to do now is show you guys an audio analysis from a video camera. The video camera was actually away from the buildings before they collapsed, but it did still pick up the audio of what was happening. So this is from the audio feed from the camera. I'm just going to get the file here. And this is a very, this is the clip, as I said earlier, that's in the film that I made, the audio analysis. So I'm just going to get that up here. And then I'm also going to show you guys a clip of the mysterious deaths of the witnesses, because that's definitely another important key element of this.
A high level plus short duration gives us an energy wave pulse traveling across the water in a direct line of sight 1.8 miles to the camera at Frank Sinatra Pier.
So here we have the wave file. You can see it on the screen, and the larger portions are sound waves, like you just heard. Explosions prior to the buildings collapsing. Now these are the explosions the firefighters and people on the ground heard. And then that constant blast is obviously the building collapsing. Just collapsing nearly at free fall speed. All buildings, all three of them. And this video will go into further analysis of the audio, the audio blasts that emit from the harbor.
This time, we will record when the sound meters peaked to determine the timing of the strongest sound pressure waves. The original digital sound recording contains very significant peak events of short duration, typical of drum beats and high-speed, high-power explosives. The first massive sound peak at -17 seconds is followed by clouds of smoke and dust rising from the base of the tower. An internal and cascade series of sharp peaks are also evident before and during the tower's fall.
I did pass through a couple of parks and on some of the streets, and before, when I reported about an hour ago, there were people at their gas pumps who turned to look at the smoke that was coming from the city.
So there we have the first bomb.
Stepping out of bodegas and stores to look. Now people are gathering in large.
Second bomb, and it says the scale of the explosion on the side as well as the timing of it.
In fact, in one corner, I saw a group of people actually holding hands and praying as I stand on the Manhattan Bridge, which is closed.
And you'll notice right before the building collapses, there's a cascade series of explosions, which is likely what brought it down. And that's definitely not floors caving in on the inside, because you'd see plumes of smoke coming out from whatever ventilation there would be underneath, and you don't see that. Now you see it collapse. firefighters also say that they heard each floor popping out. So that's further evidence.
And then the building just disappearing in the smoke. Disappearing in the smoke. It is an incredible sight. People around me are thinking about it. I cannot even describe it. It is one of those rare opportunities.
So as we've seen there, the audio clearly shows that there was definitely high impact audio waves coming across the harbor at the camera that was set up, watching the buildings, clearly hitting the camera. Even if how small they were, it doesn't matter how far it was. They definitely picked up on those sound samples. And as the video shows, that was the audio from the file. You can clearly see the peaks in audio. And that definitely coincides with a lot of the witnesses that were at ground zero before the building collapsed, and firefighters inside the building that managed to get out. They all claimed to hear explosions in the lobby, downstairs, and on higher floors. So there's definitely some evidence there that this wasn't what they said. I remember a while ago too seeing a clip on 9/11, and they were explaining how in the time prior there was renovations being done on the buildings, and on every second floor or something it was shut down, and then there was people working, which would have gave them ample time to plant explosives, thermite, whatever they needed to on each second floor to ensure that it would collapse both buildings. Now building 7, was likely the same thing. It was brought down. It had to have been brought down. There's no other explanation for that. Definitely not. And that's likely the reason why too it was omitted from the 9/11 Commission report. So anybody who essentially spoke out against this or had evidence, incriminating evidence, who came forth refuting the mainstream story, was ridiculed, discredited, and essentially tossed aside. And it gets worse than that. There was a lot of people that were also killed. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to show you guys a clip of some of the many witnesses, and there's more than just this. Keep in mind that this is just a small list of people that were killed that are related to the 9/11 incident. And this video here, I did not make this video, but I found it on YouTube, and it's Mysterious Deaths of 9/11 Witnesses. You can check this out for yourself later, but here we go.
mean, she's already dropped the atomic bomb on them. She's already released the numbers.
Yeah, I have, and not to be concerned, I have no intention of letting anyone buy me off or make any kind of a deal with me.
And you're not planning to commit suicide.
And I'm not planning to commit suicide either.
The fact that you're so visible really protects you going on Larry King and other big shows, but you want to put it on record that you're not planning to commit suicide?
No, I'm not planning to commit suicide. I'm planning to go into court on April 7th if indeed we do have the trial, and I plan on defending myself vigorously, and I plan on exposing the government in ways that, I do not think they want me to expose them.
Law enforcement about their investigation into the D.C. matter.
When she went outside, she noticed the three-wheel bicycle had been moved that was normally kept in the shed. Upon entering the shed located on the west side of the residence, Blanche Palfrey discovered her daughter, Deborah, had apparently hung herself using a nylon rope from a metal beam on the ceiling of the shed. She then called 911. At approximately 11:01 a.m., Tarpon Springs Fire Rescue had pronounced Deborah Jean Palfrey deceased.
Listen up. Allow me to take y'all back through time to 1868, to when a company incorporates, and its name was the United States, based with the UK, and the trade is to turn every single newborn into a slave. Our true potential and meaning of life is lost. None can think of what is making a wage, and to disguise their demise, they change the names of their employees to citizens. And just like every other privately owned business, there needs to be a president. All of our sovereignty lost to corporate greed at the cost of our freedom. Toss aside, work for the man or die. You'll be 90 years old the time you retire. This is the hook, make sure that it sinks in real deep. The letter S in front of words let verbal weapons speak. From coast to coast, shore to shore, and north to south, we must unite. With these facts, the strongest weapon is your brain and mouth. Our currency creates the current of the sea. The cash flows in streams, but it hardly reaches you and me. All rivers have two sides, on each side is a bank. All wars have had two sides, on each side was a bank. So many have exposed this, but so quickly they were sank. When the ship docks itself, the term is called a berth. And we the product down the birth canal. When we reach the dock, we're cursed. Bodies of water, we're born into the slaughter. This is the hook, make sure that it sinks in real deep. The letter S in front of words let verbal weapons speak. From coast to coast, shore to shore, and north to south, we must unite. With these facts, the strongest weapon is your brain and mouth. This is the hook, make sure that it sinks in real deep. The letter S in front of words let verbal weapons speak. From coast to coast, shore to shore, and north to south, we must unite. With these facts, the strongest weapon is your brain and mouth. Indoctrination, for centuries our elders bled, so we could have a life of freedom, water to drink and bread. We made a profit from things we need to live each day. Maritime admiralty law with money soaked in blood we're paid. Our minds aren't free, just take a look around, you'll see. The word parliament is two French words to speak and deceive. And everywhere you look are signs, so wake up from your dreams. Split the word governmental down the middle, it's so simple. Yours to discover, explore what's undercover. We ain't gone forever, this is your life, ain't got no other. This is the hook, make sure that it sinks in real deep. The letter S in front of words let verbal weapons speak. From coast to coast, shore to shore, and north to south, we must unite. With these facts, the strongest weapon is your brain and mouth. This is the hook, make sure that it sinks in real deep. The letter S in front of words let verbal weapons speak. From coast to coast, shore to shore, and north to south, we must unite. With these facts, the strongest weapon is your brain and mouth. There's a lot more going on than what you think. Just go sign a mortgage, that's two French words, death and pledge. And so do you pledge your allegiance to this life that you call your own, or think you call your own?
Who are you carrying all those bricks for anyway? God? Well, I tell you, let me give you a little inside information about God. He gives man instincts. He sets the rules in opposition.
This is the hook, make sure that it sinks in real deep. The letter S in front short of showing off the self. We must unite with these facts. The strongest weapon is your brain and mouth. So spread the word, literally. It's time to get the human race back up on our feet. Let's keep that money in the streets where it belongs. And I don't care what I say on record. The music industry is just another industry. Hopefully you learned something from this. It's your choice.